Update. I male 27 am suing my brother male 41 and my GF female 23 wants me to disown my parents too. Is she right? I had already removed the post for the sake of safety. But here's a brief overview of what's going on. After graduating from college with a degree in computer technology, my brother and his two business partners asked me to work for them for the summer after I graduated. Their new finance and investments business had approached me with a request that I set up the infrastructure for them. An unpaid internship during the summer turned into 2 years of unpaid work as a secretarial assistant, front desk clerk, systems tech, personal assistant, accountant, research analyst, and other positions. They paid me 4 or 5 times over the course of 2 years, for a total of around $8,000. They were enraged when I left to go graduate school in another state. They lied to prospective employers about me after I graduated from graduate school and included the lies on my resume to make me seem better. They disputed that I was employed by them and said that I was seeking to advance by assuming my brother's name. It was also claimed that I had gone to their place of business and harassed female employees who did not exist at the time. When I called to inquire about it, everyone, including my brother, just laughed and said I was getting what I deserved. I was disappointed. To put it another way, it's like saying, "This is what happens when you mess with us." My guidance counselor, as well as a few other people from school, including my head hunter, supported me in getting employment. I was nevertheless compelled to file a lawsuit against my brother and his colleagues for defamation and other offenses. I first got in touch with my brother to make light of the lawsuit after it was served on them. But they become fearful, and my brother has spoken with my father, who has urged me to drop the complaint and just sit down with them both to straighten things out. In his words, the matter was big brother bullying little brother, and he asked that I drop it. He and my mother refused to invite me to their Thanksgiving meal, and my mother did all she could to keep me away from the festivities. I could see she was having difficulties. For the sake of updating the lawsuit, there isn't anything new to report on the legal front. Nevertheless, I had a laptop that included client names that my brother and his partners had collected from their respective places of employment before forming the business. I didn't want to provide those documents to my attorney since their lives were already in such a state of disarray. While my fiancé says that I should simply let them have it and destroy them, I don't believe this. I called my attorney and told him that I had received the files, which I had brought to his office the next day on the 9th of September. His company called me on the 10th. Alerting me that my attorney wanted to schedule an appointment with me for the following day. When I stepped in, he informed me that the files will be transferred to the U.S. Attorney's Office and that we would no longer be in control. But he was sincere in his desire to chat with me about my parents. During our conversation, he effectively referred to my father as a world-class jerk. Eventually, he plans to call both of my parents to testify in a deposition, and, if the case proceeds that far, possibly even in a trial. He wanted me to mentally prepare for what they were going to say about me before they said it. The fact that he made it clear that there would be no turning back was pretty telling. Because I didn't pay anything to have my lawyer take the case, his firm has been actively involved in it as a result. In a nutshell, they've taken over as leaders. Because my attorney feels I am weak, or that I will want to back down or ease up on them, I believe this is the case. He told me in no uncertain terms that he knows my family would make me ill-tempered. He seemed to be underestimating my abilities. On the other hand, he advised me to brace myself for the wrath of my father, which he expected to be severe. When he asked about my mother's side, I told him that I had 2 older sisters and that my mother was a very neutral person. He informed me that my mother is not at all impartial. So he just urged me to be prepared for whatever that could come my way. Because of this, I got telephone calls from my 2 sisters who reside around 300 miles apart. After hearing of my father and brother's activities, they expressed their displeasure and assured me that they were entirely behind me. They have now told me that my girlfriend and I will not be permitted to see them and their children over the Christmas holiday. They told me that they love me, but that I should withdraw the lawsuit against them. A little bit of a surprise, to be honest. Even if it didn't kill me, it was quite tough to hear. They have told me that they will no longer be contacting me, and that they do not want for me to contact them for any reason at this point. When they called, both of them wept, but I stayed calm and collected. Furthermore, they sent my girlfriend an email informing her that she was not invited to any of their holiday parties. My partner slammed them both with a nasty response that I regret sending, but she has the right to choose how she responds to the two men in question. Because my father is becoming more out of control, he confronted me and my girlfriend outside the house of a family member who had invited us to their home for a holiday get-together on Sunday night. It became heated, and I said something that was probably below the belt that almost made him cry. His eyes were watering, and he fought hard not to cry. My girlfriend immediately intervened and smacked him in the face, exactly like she had done to my sisters. She's now on a roll, which is unusual for her. I can see that the gloves have been taken off for her benefit. However, she seemed to be unable to hear anything since she was just sitting in my father's car and staring out the window. For the time being, there isn't much else going on. One last thing before I forget. My brother and his partners, according to my attorney, had already closed their doors to the public. They were forced to file for bankruptcy. They have responded to our complaint with some baffling and contradictory responses, which surprises me since my brother is usually much smarter than that. They've now switched attorneys and engaged a well-known firm to represent them. First and foremost, however, the new attorneys inquired as to how much it would cost to settle. It is claimed by my attorney that their new attorneys are astute because they are anticipating a massacre in court. As for me, I think I'll just have to sit back and watch what happens. But as a number of you know from personal experience, the consequences from court battles like this can tear families apart for years, or even decades after they are resolved. This is something that I can see happening, and it most likely will. Editor's note: a number of you have inquired as to why my sister's decision was reversed. I now understand that my father aided them both in the purchase of their own residences. Because of this, they both still owe him a substantial quantity of money. My best guess is that he used it, along with maybe other tactics, to persuade people to support him and his cause. Story 2. My partner has been diagnosed with BPD, and I'm confused if I should forgive them. When I initially discovered that they had cheated on me, I discovered messages between them and a pal on their phone. They seemed to be having an emotional outburst, and when challenged, they claimed that they were just clothes. Because I was pregnant, I believed them for the most part. They admitted to cheating on me again 2 years ago in September and cleaned up additional falsehoods. I informed them that I accepted their apologies, but that we needed to work on establishing trust. My spouse started their first week in a mental health 1/2-day program this week. They've been doing well despite having to confront some difficult facts regarding their conduct and diagnosis. Today, they admitted to me that they had lied about the second time they cheated, claiming that it was not 2 years ago, but rather a few months after it occurred. They also told me about flirting with another buddy while we shared our first flat. While I think they are taking responsibility and correcting their conduct, I am very saddened. I'm feeling deceived, abandoned, and unloved. I did some research on their diagnosis and discovered that is a frequent sign, but I'm still skeptical. I, too, feel quite alone in this situation. On Tuesday, we'll meet with their therapist. I'm at a loss for words because I feel like an idiot.